Merry meet and welcome to Psalmic Saturday here at Ariel's Corner. This is Ariel Gatoga and we are streaming live on YouTube and on Twitch. Moderating today on YouTube is the lovely Honeypaw, and moderating on Twitch is the lovely Shirley. Thank you so much, Honeypaw and Shirley, and thank you for everybody for joining us today for this Psalm spell, which we'll get right to, I promise. And before we get to that, just a little note here that we do have a brand new course. I haven't had a new course in so long, but I finally got it finished, and so we've started that. So if you are interested in astral projection, the astral projection course is available, and you can get to that by going to arielgatoga.com/astral-projection. arielgatoga.com/astral-projection. Astral projection with a hyphen in the middle. And because the launching of that was a lot more time-consuming than I was expecting. There we go. I haven't not finished with the premiere that normally happens on Saturday. So we'll have that premiere tomorrow, and then we'll have another premiere on Monday as well. So I apologize for those of you who are looking forward to today's premiere. I just ran out of time. Now, next Saturday, I think what I want to do is do the entirety of Psalm 119, which has 22 verses in it. And so rather than starting early next week, I'm just going to leave it as is, and we'll just go ahead and next week as well, we'll have a premiere on Sunday and Monday instead of Saturday and Monday as well. So little programming notes. This week and next week we'll have our premieres on Sunday and Monday rather than Saturday and Monday. And if you're looking forward to getting all of that Psalm 119 material, you might want to tune in next Saturday at 10:15 to Psalmic Saturday, because that's what we will be working on. And my goal with that is to have a video that has all 22 verses that are time-stamped with chapters, so that if you're working Psalm 119, you can easily go from whatever verse to whatever verse you want to go to without having to find other videos and all of that. So hopefully I get that done in a way that's a little easier for people to work. All right, let's see. We have a chat thread open on each one of these streams. Please feel free to chat amongst yourselves. If you do have any questions, you can put them right in the chat thread. I don't have to get off as early today because we don't have a premiere. But so if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in. It doesn't even have to be about the psalm if you just want to ask me a question. And let's see. There was something else I wanted to tell you. Oh, yeah. We have a shop, and that's at arielscornershop.com. arielscornershop.com. And we have all kinds of merchandise there. We make a small commission off of each and every sale. It's an easy and fun way to give us some support. We do appreciate your support. Another way to support us is by giving a donation, and you can do that by going to paypal.me/arielgatoga. paypal.me/arielgatoga. If you're watching live on YouTube, you could use a super sticker or super chat if you feel like giving a donation right on the platform. And if you're watching on a restream, you could use a super thanks. So we do appreciate all your support. We always have everything available, courses, booklets, whatever we have at Ariel's Corner, completely 100% free of charge. So, and we're always going to be that way. All right, I think that did it. If I forgot anything, it must not have been that important, and we'll say it some other time. So let's get going. Ahem. Okay, here we go. Today we are working Psalm 61. Some magical uses traditionally that are used, some traditional magical uses for Psalm 61 are for help in finding a new residence, to bring luck into a home, and to overcome any trouble with the law. So today I want to actually use Psalm 61 for help in overcoming any overwhelming situation. So anything that you're feeling overwhelmed by, you can bring it right to this psalm in order to get relief and triumph. And so that's what we're working on today. Now, if you have any of those other uses that you have come to this psalm for, that's fine. You can just keep those in mind instead as we work on this psalm. It all works just perfectly. The way we work psalm magic is simple and very effective. We take the psalm in question and speak it out loud once all the way through without stopping. We call this an incantation. When we've finished with the incantation, we go back through that same psalm and consider each verse one at a time in turn. When we are considering these verses, we are digging and searching for hidden occult meanings within the words of the psalm. And by digging and searching and finding and applying what we find there to the situation that we've brought to the psalm, we are in a very visceral way taking those little seeds of magic that we find in the psalm and planting them in the depths of our minds. And then, in a very real way, those seeds take root and they grow, they blossom forth, and then they bear fruit after their kind within our lives. And that's what you and I are going to do right now with Psalm 61. Hang on, I don't want that. And that's what you and I are going to do right now with Psalm 61. Hear my cry, O God, attend unto my prayer. From the end of the earth will I cry unto thee. When my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. For thou hast been a shelter for me, and a strong tower from the enemy. I will abide in thy tabernacle forever. I will trust in the covert of thy wings, Selah. For thou, O God, hast heard my vows. Thou hast given me the heritage of those that fear thy name. Thou wilt prolong the king's life, and his years as many generations. He shall abide before God forever. O prepare mercy and truth, which may preserve him. So will I sing praise unto thy name forever, that I may daily perform my vows. All right. Just a moment here. Okay. So it starts out, this is one of those Elohim psalms. So we're talking to Elohim, not the Tetragrammaton. In Psalm Magic, it's about the same thing because we're talking about infinite intelligence or the infinite power, the singular power that is the source of all life. Now, that power exists within us. It's not something external to us. And it's very important that we orient ourselves to this power every single time we work magic, especially when we're working these psalms, because we don't want to become superstitious about what God is. God is not some dude or dudette out in the sky or in the earth or anywhere outside of ourselves. God exists in the very heart of who we are, and God is the creator of all that exists. And so God thinks us into being. We are thoughts in the mind of God. And as being thoughts in the mind of God, we are unique souls. We are extensions of infinite intelligence's truth and light. And as such, there is no place where we stop and God starts, and there's no place ultimately where our soul stops and any other soul starts. We are all like spokes of this amazing wheel, and God being the hub of that. So it's important that we understand that when we are petitioning God or the Lord in these Psalms, that we are calling on the power that is the heart of who we are, the author of who we are. And this author, this source of us, exists before we created an ego that made us believe that we were separate and all by ourselves. So it says, "Hear my cry, O God, attend unto my prayer." So when we say, "Hear my cry, O God," we are acknowledging that the nature of infinite intelligence is responsiveness. And this source always responds to us, but we have to be the catalyst. It is up to us to recognize that part of the creation that occurs in order that we be who we are includes our free will. And since we have free will, we can think any thoughts we want. And we can have any kind of life that we want. And oftentimes what happens is, as a species, we've created a life that's very scary. And so we feel trapped in this world. We feel like we are trapped by all of the phantasms of this world. And when we call out to infinite intelligence to save us from whatever these problems are, what we are in effect doing is saying we have free will, and we are asking that infinite intelligence supersede our mistaken thought forms. But infinite intelligence isn't just going to come along and do that for us, because that would be going against our freedom, against our free will. And that would be a type of attack. And infinite intelligence is never going to attack us. So it's important to understand that when we say, "Hear my cry, O God," that we are making the step. We are taking the first step to getting the resolution or healing to whatever this problem is that we are coming to the psalm for. It says, "Attend unto my prayer." So when you are in attendance at something, that means that you're present. And we are acknowledging that our prayer or our invocation here, our spell, is a place that infinite intelligence is present. So we are acknowledging the presence of the Creator, not as something outside of us, but as something deep within us. "From the end of the earth will I cry unto thee." So the end of the earth is the end of all physical manifestation, all phenomena that exist. No matter what I see, no matter what it appears to be, I'm calling unto infinite intelligence. I am using the power of my free will to overcome no matter what it is. No matter if I think it's good, no matter if I think it's bad, no matter if I think it's nothing. I am asking infinite intelligence's will to supersede everything that I'm projecting onto the screen of space, to give me infinite intelligence's vision in place of my own. So it says, "From the end of the earth will I cry unto thee when my heart is overwhelmed." So your heart is your deep mind. Your heart is your habitual mind. When you know something by heart, it means that it's in your subconscious, right? I know it by heart means that I have it in my habitual autonomic nervous system. So all of the things that I habitually create in this world to the ends of the earth, when my heart is overwhelmed, When your heart is overwhelmed, what's happening is that you believe that things are happening to you which are bad or negative, and as a result of that, because of all of us together as a species, we are creating these thought forms. We seem to be in a hell. And these Psalms are reminding us that this is a hell, but it's a hell of our own making, and it's not the will of infinite intelligence that we be in hell. And therefore, when our heart is overwhelmed, we can cry unto the Lord and have a new vision replace our vision of overwhelm. So that is what we are doing here, is we are creating a very sacred space for high magic to occur, wherein infinite intelligence's idea of us replaces the experience that we are having, either from our own deep mind or the deep mind of the species. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I. So that we have to confess to ourselves and to this power that the ideas that we have about this world and about ourselves are not that high. They're not that hot. They're not that great. The best that we can come up with, in Alcoholics Anonymous, they say, your best thinking got you here. Your best thinking got you here. No, isn't that depressing? This is the best I can come up with, right? What that means is, as ego minds, we are limited, because that's what the ego is. It's the idea of limitation. So to the extent that we are identifying as our egos, this is the best we get. There's nothing better than this. But rather than letting that be something that makes us depressed, we recognize that there is a thought system that is higher than what our egos are. And that is our soul's identity, which is always at one with and aware of, conscious of our connection to infinite intelligence. And so we are asking that reality supersede what is the best of that we can come up with here. So lead me to the rock that is higher than I. That rock is that stability, that certainty, that sureness that is often called faith. So there's a place that is beyond my best thinking that gives me safety, that gives me freedom, that brings me success, prosperity, health, and every other good thing that supersedes whatever nightmare I'm bringing to this psalm. For thou hast been a shelter for me and a strong tower from the enemy. So, infinite intelligence has always been a shelter for us. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we abide in the shelter, right? Because we have infinite intelligence gave us free will. And that's a gift to us, although the way we use it, it looks more like a curse sometimes. So we have this shelter that's been provided for us, that's a rock that is always sure and always certain, and all good things are available to us at all times as a species. And we don't abide there. We say, yeah, but what's over there? What's outside of this, right? So that what's over there, what's outside of perfection, is the problem that started this whole issue in the first place, this idea of thinking separately from infinite intelligence. And again, it's not that we're sinners. It's not that we're bad. It's just that there's the law of cause and effect. And when we decide that we want to think thoughts that are separate from infinite intelligence, we get results that are different than what infinite intelligence's will is for us. The good news about that is the best that we can come up with when we do that is a nightmare, is a hallucination. And that's what this world is a very shared collective hallucination, very bad dream. And we are going to be able to wake up from that dream when we look at what it says here, that infinite intelligence has always been a shelter for us and a strong tower from the enemy. Well, what's the enemy? We always think that enemy's out there, and it looks like it is. And for heaven's sake, yes. If there's an enemy out there in your mind, whether it be a situation, a circumstance, a person, a government, a job, or whatever it is, bring it to this psalm. You have to be where you are. So if that's where you are, is that my enemies exist outside of me, bring all that stuff to this psalm to get it healed. But ultimately, what we have to learn and realize is that the enemy is the idea that we are separate from infinite intelligence. The enemy is a false idea. Therefore, the enemy is false and doesn't really exist. Ultimately, that's true. Now, within the realm of this nightmare and this hallucination, the enemy seems very real, and it has all kinds of different faces. But in the realm of where infinite intelligence exists, and the truth of what infinite intelligence knows about us and about the universe, there is no such thing as an enemy. And there is nothing happening that's bad to us. We are asleep and having fits and starts as we are having nightmares. And infinite intelligence doesn't will that, but infinite intelligence allows us to have the freedom to do that. Now, we are always at liberty to ask for help and allow infinite intelligence to gently wake us up. And that's what all of these psalms ultimately are here to help us to accomplish. I will abide in thy tabernacle forever. I will trust in the covert of thy wings, Selah. So abiding in the tabernacle of infinite intelligence is something we're doing anyway. It's just that most of us are there sleeping, having a dream that we're somewhere else. Most of us, that's what we are doing. We don't recognize that we are abiding in the tabernacle of the Almighty. The tabernacle of the Almighty is simply our home. That's where we live. Infinite intelligence created us to be happy, safe, creative, thrilled, wondered, everything good. All goodness. Everything that is infinite intelligence's will for us is joy, is happiness. And that's exactly what we are experiencing on a different level than the level of this nightmare. So our job here, if you will, is to allow ourselves to reach for that higher rock, that higher idea, and allow infinite intelligence to replace our ideas with the truth. That's where we are abiding in the tabernacle. We want to wake up and realize that we were sleeping and that we're home and everything is fine. I will trust in the covert of thy wings. So the covert of thy wings is like the secrecy or the safety, the covering. Think of like a mother hen protecting the little chicks with her wings. And that's what infinite intelligence is for us while we're living in the nightmare. Infinite intelligence is saying, well, I know that you believe this is happening, so for now, let me just protect you from those illusions until you wake up. Let's just come into the dream and just let you curl up under my wing, and you're going to be fine. And so in the dream now, you're safe. In the dream, everything is working out for you. Eventually, you're going to wake up and realize it was all a dream. But let me help you have a happy dream instead of a nightmare, a dream of safety. Selah is a musical direction that says rest. It's a rest. And that means think about what we just said. Just rest and let that sink in. All right. For thou, O God, hast heard my vows. Now, what are vows? Vows are promises. Now, what does infinite intelligence want you to promise to it? To be happy. To be happy. Infinite intelligence wants you to promise that you're going to be happy and that you are going to wake up to the truth of who you are. That's what infinite intelligence wants from you. So infinite intelligence has heard that you promise that you're going to do that. Thou hast given me the heritage of those that fear thy name. Now, your heritage is your inheritance. And your inheritance is that of royalty. And I think it's Hans Christian Andersen wrote that story about the prince and the pauper. It's a wonderful allegory of what we go through. We are princes that believe we're paupers. We are royalty that exists thinking that we are powerless and that we have no rights. But we really do have birthrights, and our birthrights are that of the infinite intelligence as a royal court. And each one of us has that. And For those that fear thy name, you want to fear the name of infinite intelligence. But what does that mean? It doesn't mean that you're afraid of some name. The name of infinite intelligence is all of the qualities of God. Intelligence is what we're talking about here, but it's also soul and spirit and truth and love. It's law, it's presence, it's life itself. It's that which is beating your heart. So those are the names of God, or the qualities that are divine. And fearing those qualities means respecting them, means recognizing that those things are that higher rock. So to fear those things means that as an ego, you're never going to be able to compete with infinite intelligence, and so you should stop because there's no competition. But as souls, you're already one with the names of God, with those qualities of God. And so to fear them is to be in the ecstasy of the presence of those qualities. That's what the fear of God is, the fear of the name of God. To fear the name of God is to experience the ecstasy of being at one with all of those qualities. So if you sit and you think of all of those qualities of the divine and you just contemplate them, and you allow yourself to let go of your own control of your life for a moment and allow those qualities control you instead, that's fearing the name of God. That's what that is. It's respecting that. It's having the ecstasy that comes with that. It's recognizing that you can't have control over the name of God. It's not for you to control. It never was meant for you to control. You are here to experience the happiness, joy, bliss, and ecstasy that infinite intelligence created you to experience. Your job is not to be infinite intelligence. You didn't create yourself. That's the other way to look at that. You didn't create yourself. So the authority of infinite intelligence simply means that infinite intelligence authored you. You didn't author yourself. You didn't author it. And therefore, to fear the name of infinite intelligence, to fear the name of God, is to recognize that those qualities are the cause of you, not the effect of you. For thou, O God, I already said that. Thou wilt prolong the king's life and his years as many generations. So the king, in this sense, is your ego. You as an incarnate being on this earth. Your ego isn't evil. Your ego isn't a stand-in for Satan. A lot of people think that. It's really not. Your ego is just how you've carved out an identity for your own self in this world. So the ego doesn't have to be a bad thing. The ego is a nothing. The ego is not something that God created. It's something you created. But if you give that king, if you give that ego to infinite intelligence can use it for as long as necessary while you're here incarnating in this earth plane to have a very happy life and to help other people have very happy lives. Then your ego is there as nothing but a very soft and gentle sort of veil while you are here, rather than a big armament to create attack and vengeance. Instead, once you give your ego over to infinite intelligence and let it reinterpret it for you, then it becomes something that's very easy and very, very safe and joyous for you to experience your life here. That's you as the king. So infinite intelligence is going to prolong the king's life and his years as many generations. That means for as long as it takes for you to remember who you are, if you give your ego over to infinite intelligence, your ego is going to be taken care of for you, and you don't have to worry about it anymore. You don't have to worry about your ego mind. or your body, or your circumstances, or your finances, or your health, or your relationships, or your job, or any of those other little things that have to do with the king's life. You're giving those things to infinite intelligence to handle for you, and you're letting infinite intelligence, quote, prolong that life, meaning take over for you, so that you are cared for under the covert of those wings, like it said earlier, rather than you thinking it's up to you to know what to do in this very, very confusing nightmare that we're in. He shall abide before God forever. Oh, prepare mercy and truth, which may preserve him. Right? So if you take all the things that you think you are, John Smith, it maybe is your name. So John Smith has had these circumstances, has these parents, has gone through these problems, has maybe this degree or this resume, has created all kinds of problems for themselves, has these health issues, can't keep a job, whatever your story is. Might be a great story, might be a sad story, whatever your story is. That story is the king's life. So it's telling you that if that story of your life abides before infinite intelligence forever, meaning in the present moment, if you take that story to infinite intelligence, oh, prepare mercy and truth, which may preserve him, that means that infinite intelligence can reinterpret that whole storyline for you and change every little thing so that now it starts to reflect something closer to the truth of who you are. So that your ego is no longer something that you have to take charge of as something that's you against the world, fight, problem. You're giving that up. And that for as long as you need an ego, infinite intelligence is on the case for you. And all of those ego-based problems then simply become a new story, simply become a new storyline that has a happy ending. But you see, we don't like happy endings. We don't like those here. Look at any good piece of literature. If there's a happy ending, it's considered kind of banal. So we have to be willing to have a happy ending and recognize that that's not boring. That's not boring for us here. We have to be willing for infinite intelligence to have the happily ever after for us. And that means sitting in the present moment at every moment of time and point of space, being present in the moment and allowing infinite intelligence to reinterpret our entire storyline for us in a brand new way. So I will sing praise unto thy name forever. So how do you praise something? You praise something by acknowledging very enthusiastically that it's good. The name of God. For you, it's the qualities of God, but it's really easy to praise the name of God without having to think of anything really esoteric. Sometimes when you're in the throes of something, the last thing you need is to get real scholarly and occult about it. You need to instead find something that works. To sing to sing praises of the name of God. To sing praise unto the name of God forever means right now. I'm going to get very enthusiastic about every single little thing that's good in my life. Right now. Not tomorrow, not something I'm going to put on my to-do list. Right now, what's good? How great is that? That's praising it. How good is this? Can I breathe? Isn't that wonderful that there's air? Wow, what a miracle. I've got air to breathe. Did I eat something today? Isn't that wonderful? I've got sustenance in my system. Did I have a pillow to sleep on? Isn't that amazing that I had comfort? Do I have clothes? Isn't that amazing that I'm clothed with the substance of infinite intelligence? I'm so grateful for that. I praise that. On and on and on and on and on. You can't come up with every little bit of praise. There's too much to praise about. But do you see how the Psalms are very clear that when you do that, when you praise God in that way, rather than praising some external deity, which is kind of a waste of your time, that you can't help but have things turn around for you, because it's an occult, magical truth that what we put our focus on with emotion is what becomes true for us in our experience. So as you praise the name of God in that way, meaning I'm going to praise what's good in my life right now, in the moment, that's forever, you can't help but have things turn around for you. It's just part of it. It's just how it works. Magic 101. So I will sing praise unto thy name forever, that I may daily perform my vows. How do you daily perform your vows? One day at a time. One day at a time, you're going to be happy. Because that's your vow to infinite intelligence. I'm going to figure out how to be happy here. How do you figure out how to be happy here? You ask. You reach for that higher rock that they mentioned earlier. You ask infinite intelligence to show you how to be happy here. And that's your vow. One day at a time, you're going to have a happy life. One day at a time. You're going to do your best. And if you can't figure it out, you're going to call upon that power within you, just like it teaches you in these Psalms, to show it to you. And you're not going to give up, because it says here that I may daily perform my vows. You're going to take it, again, one day at a time. Your vow here is to be happy. So you just keep coming back to this psalm every single day until you get a sense of peace and certainty that whatever the issue that you brought to the psalm is working out for you. Once you get that sense of peace and certainty, then your spell has taken. It's like a little click that you experience. When you get that, it's a sign to you from your deep mind. It's a sign to you from your deep mind that your spell has taken and that you can move off of it and do something else, work on something else. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. Until next time, blessed be. Okay, let's see if we have anybody that has anything they want to ask. Okay, here's one. Oh, here's a few. Oh boy, there's a lot. Okay, I get it that psychic attack or perceived psychic attack is our own ego or subconscious acting out thoughts of separation, bringing problems. Someone goes to see a tarot reader and gets told some negative lies that they may believe when you've just been minding your own business, meditating, doing Ariel's everyday meditations at home. Okay, so I didn't engage with any of it. Is that still one's own manifestation and more work on our subconscious needed? Or what about if we acknowledge the presence of angelic or benevolent influences such as Raphael telling us something funny or whatever? Is that a manifestation of our own subconscious too? Okay, so I think what you're asking is everything just a manifestation of your own subconscious mind? Yes and no. Everybody here is in the same nightmare, but we have our own little spin on it. So within that nightmare, there are legion upon legion of manifestations of ego-based thought forms of separation. And so when you're in the manifestation of the nightmare, sometimes just saying, oh, well, it's just a manifestation of a nightmare, so I don't want to deal with it. Sometimes that doesn't work so well. You have to meet the nightmare where it is and then allow infinite intelligence to help you through it. So sometimes that means if you're having manifestations of psychic attack, that you do a reversing on that, right? Sometimes that means if somebody is breaking into your home, that you call 911. You don't just say, oh, well, that's just a manifestation of my subconscious mind. You have to honor what you're experiencing in the realm of the nightmare, because this is where we live right now. And then when we work these magical things like Psalms, those start to allow us to change the manifestations from a more mystical perspective. But that doesn't mean that you don't necessarily deal with what's in front of you to do. And that's part of this whole magic is you do the magic and then you do what's in front of you to do. You take life on its terms. And when something comes to you, you say, oh, well, this is here. This is what I have to respond to. Before I react to it, I'm going to call in my inner guidance and ask the inner guidance how to respond to it. And sometimes you're going to get, one kind of response, and other times you'll get another kind of response. It depends on where you are. And a lot of times, the best thing for you to do is not to just say, oh, well, nothing's really happening. It's just a nightmare. Sometimes what the best thing for you to do is to respond to the nightmare on its own level. But you'll be guided and led according to how your inner guidance assesses the situation. And everybody's going to be different. Everybody's going to be different. So I hope that helps you. There's another question. Is our collective attachment to negativity mostly the result of cultural imprint from our society and cultural programming? Okay. I don't know that it's the cause of it, but it helps to reinforce it. We are all responsible for the same error. We're all responsible for the same error, the error that we are separate, that we are individual consciousnesses that have no safety and are all on our own. That's the idea of separation, the belief in separation. We're all responsible for our own part in that. Now, as far as how that gets reinforced, the ego is very cunning and very sly, because all the ego simply is our own creative genius turned against ourselves. Our way that we use our own creative genius to destroy ourselves, because the ego has self-destruction as its main goal. Now, this psalm we just worked on is talking about allowing us to bring that ego to infinite intelligence, to reprogram it. And that's a good thing to do, because you're always going to have an ego while you're in a world of separation. So as your ego can become more educated and become less and less attack-oriented, pretty soon it will dissolve over time. But in the meantime, it's not so much why this happened or how this happens, because it's just, it never ends. The pain, the misery, the nightmares, they never end. It's just this eternal wash of separation and cruelty and nightmare and evil in this world. But in the tabernacle that was described in that psalm, none of that's happening. That's just it's a really bad nightmare that we're all having, but we're having the nightmare. So when you're existing in the nightmare, you can't sometimes just say, well, this is just a dream, so let's just not pay attention to it. In the nightmare, you have to respond to what's in front of you. And that's where things like magic come into play, because we have new ways of responding to the things that are in front of us that actually bring us out of the nightmare, sometimes very slowly, sometimes very quickly. And those are types of miracles or magic that we have. That has power over the events in our lives. So you just have to take it one day at a time, one step at a time, and not put too much pressure on yourself to just be out of the nightmare all of a sudden, because that's not so easy to do, because it's very seductive, and we've been doing it for millions of years here. So it is a habitual thought pattern, and like I said, it's legion. How many different manifestations and storylines that ego mind has taken, and so trying to make sense of it is never going to help you. Trying to make sense of what is insanity reinforces your own insanity. Trying to make sense of insanity reinforces your own insanity. Recognizing that it's insanity and just allowing yourself to detach from that, even for a moment, and call on that higher rock, to call upon that higher power to reinterpret it for you, moment by moment by moment, is a new habit that you can establish that will start to dismantle the thought system. Very quickly, in fact. It can happen very quickly, but you have to honor that it's one step at a time. Hopefully that helps. There's the road opener. There's a whole, if you look on my blog, they're asking about a road opener spell. On my blog, there's a series of psalms, and it's not called road opener, but it means that, and I can't remember what it's called. Let me look it up for you real quick here. So if you go to ariels-corner.com and then click on the blog, there's a blog post, and I'm pulling it up right now for you, even though my internet's very slow. It's called the Door Opener Psalm Spell. The Door Opener Psalm Spell. And you can work that psalm spell for what you're asking for, and it's very effective. All right, wonderful questions. I appreciate you so much. I hope I was helpful. Thank you so much to the amazing moderator team today. We had Honeypaw and Shirley, and we will see everybody, I hope, tomorrow for Soulful Sunday, and then for our premieres tomorrow and Monday. Much, much love and many, many blessings.